Hi, and welcome to another episode of Reasonably Catholic. In Season 3, we look at all the moral teachings of the Church. And today we will look at what the Church has to say about immigration. The subject of immigration is a hot topic in recent times. With the presence of a large number of illegal immigrants, many citizens are concerned enough that they are nearing a breaking point on this subject. Sometimes, folks receive the impression that church teaching requires essentially an open border policy where people can come into a country with no restraints, but this is not true. If you read the actual church document on the subject, they contain important qualifiers that are often dropped out of discussion when presented by some individuals. From the CCC, para 2241, that deals with the teaching of the immigration, says the more prosperous nations are obliged, to the extent they are able to welcome the foreigner in search of security and the means of livelihood which he cannot find in his country of origin. Public authorities should see to it that the natural right is respected, that places a guest under the protection of those who receive him. Political authorities, for the sake of common good for which they are responsible, may make the exercise of the right to immigrate subject to various jurisdictional conditions, especially with regard to immigrants' duties towards their country of adoption. Immigrants are obliged to respect with gratitude the material and spiritual heritage of the country that receives them, to obey its laws, and to assist in carrying civic burdens. Now, there are three things that I'd like to point out in the above statements. The first recognizes that there is a limit to the number of immigrants that a nation can absorb. Common sense tells us that no nation can absorb an unlimited number of immigrants. Precisely how many a particular country can reasonably absorb is a determination that must ultimately be made by the government. The second recognizes the state's right to set legal requirements that must be met for immigration. Again, this is something that common sense would tell you needs to be there. A state cannot reasonably be expected to absorb immigrants of any and all types. For example, a state may reasonably refuse immigration to murderers or terrorists, to name two very obvious examples. The third reflects the duty of immigrants to respect the laws of the nation to which they are immigrating. This includes respecting the laws of the nation regarding whether or not the person is able to legally to be in the country. Immigrants are morally bound to respect the laws of the nation to which they are immigrating, including its laws regarding whether they may be legally there or not. Church teaching on immigration thus does not reflect a freewheeling, open border policy in which anyone can enter a country at will. It holds of immigration process as a responsibility of prosperous nations as a form of humanitarian aid conducted in an orderly manner, subject to legal requirements, with limits on the number of immigrants and with immigrants obeying the laws of the host nation. In his annual message for the world migration of 1996, St. John Paul II reminded us of Jesus' words in Matthew 25, and I quote, "I was a stranger and you welcomed me," and continued to say, quote, "Today the illegal migrants comes before us like the stranger in whom Jesus asks us to be recognized. To welcome him and to show him solidarity is a duty of hospitality and fidelity to Christian identity itself." So in conclusion, the Church does exhort the nations who are doing well to absorb as many people as they can for the welfare of the immigrants, and expects these immigrants to adhere to all the rules that are applicable to everyone in that country. So, was that reasonable? Let us know in the comments section below. And until the next week, bye.